want a TDC automotive vehicle for 2022?
At TDC Automotive, old is out and new is in. Visit us and take our 2021-2022 models for a spin. Boasting all new features, colors, whistles, and bells, you can reserve your vehicle today. There's no need to dwell. Get your VAT Day savings, registration, licensing, rewards points, and much more. Honestly, we just don't know what you're waiting for.
Visit your automotive VAT Day specialist today for the best vehicles and best value. TDC Automotive, #1 for a reason.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go round.
Good morning, St. Kitts and Nevis, and welcome to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. Today is Saturday, December 4th, 2021, and it's just 4 minutes past the hour of 11 here in our studios at WINNFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Thank you guys so much for tuning in today. Remember, you can catch us live on Facebook at WINNmedia SKN. You can also check out our YouTube channel at WINNmedia SKN. And you can also listen via the website at www.winnmediaskn.com. This is Inside the News, the first for the month of December. And let me just use this opportunity to wish you a happy December. And I hope that all that you have planned, all that you're hoping for, will come through this December. I know it's early, but I want to use the opportunity to wish you a Merry Christmas and a prosperous and healthy New Year when it comes. I think December is a special time for many of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, particularly for St. Kitts, as we are celebrating Sugar Mass 50, which officially commenced last evening with a grand opening at Carnival Village. For today's edition of Inside the News, I want to get your feedback on the grand opening last evening of Sugar Mass 50, and we're also going to look at some of the restrictions, the ease in restrictions that were announced by the Prime Minister at Wednesday's edition of the National Assembly, Wednesday's sitting of the National Assembly. I think that was December the 1st. So we're going to talk a bit about what happened last night, some spectacular performances last evening by Kittitians and Nevisians for the 50th anniversary of Sugar Mass right here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, we're going to touch a little bit on the proposed changes, or some of the changes that have been implemented or would be implemented for this Christmas and Carnival season. And with regards to the ease in restrictions, I think this is what many people have been hoping for. You don't want to go into a Christmas season or a carnival season under all of these restrictions. So we're hoping that many small businesses and businesses as a whole, people would be able to benefit from the ease in restrictions and make a little bit more money for the Christmas and carnival season. So we want to talk about quickly the change in or the ease in restrictions ahead of the carnival and Christmas season. And as I mentioned earlier, many people are looking forward to this. As you know, for the entire year of 2021 and of course 2020, we were under some strict restrictions, of course, imposed because of COVID-19. It says St. Kitts fight against COVID-19 hit a major milestone this week with an 80% national vaccination rate of adults across the islands. This achievement signals the reaching of the benchmark that health officials aimed for to ease restrictions. According to health officials, 80.2% of the adult population have received at least one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. And so because of this, we're going to see an ease in restrictions. But at the end of the day, we're hoping that these ease in restrictions, that everybody would be able to benefit from such. Now, the Prime Minister, during the December 1st sitting of the National Assembly, announced that some of the proposed ease restrictions or ease in restrictions would come to fruition while other aspects shall remain unchanged in light of the new COVID-19 variant, Omicron. Now, the 5 proposed changes included the removal of the barriers at Port Zante, allowing open public access. We know over the past few weeks, many people were a bit disgruntled because of the fact that they were not able to access Port Zante as they were accustomed to. And you would know that there are many services that are offered at Port Zante that many local people would like to get. But because of that, they were unable to do so. I think as it is now, once you are fully vaccinated, of course, you would have to show proof of that, and you would be allowed to enter or go beyond the barrier or the fence at Port Zante. It says here that all vaccinated tourists arriving, whether by cruise or air, can then access all COVID-19 approved sites. Entertainers will be able to undertake mass events for fully vaccinated people with a 75% capacity. The removal of all quarantine and testing requirements for arriving passengers 12 years and older who are fully vaccinated. So this is not yet in place. I remember there was some misunderstanding the other day when people thought that as it is right now, you can come into the country and not having to quarantine. But according to the CMO, that is still in place for fully vaccinated people. You would still have to quarantine for 20 hours. When you land, you take your COVID-19 test and you quarantine for the 24 hours. And after that, you would be allowed to leave. But what this is saying is that very shortly, we will see the removal of all quarantine and testing requirements for passengers who are 12 years and older once they are fully vaccinated. Reduction in the quarantine period for the unvaccinated or partially vaccinated people for 14 to 9 days. So as it is right now, people who are partially vaccinated or unvaccinated have to quarantine for the 2 weeks to 14 days, but the government and the Ministry of Health or the task force is proposing that you quarantine for 9 days. No, the barriers at Port Zante will remain intact, and the quarantine and testing requirements for arriving passengers 12 years and over who are fully vaccinated, including a negative PCR test on arrival, will also remain in play. Now, all vaccinated tourists arriving whether by cruise, yes, with a negative test, can now move freely with access to all tourist sites, beaches, etc. So I know before you had to go with certain approved sites or approved vendors. Now it's saying that you can go with all approved sites and vendors, everyone who've been approved by the COVID-19 task force to receive guests who are fully vaccinated. And I think this one is very good for the entertainers. They would be able to host or undertake mass events for fully vaccinated people with a capacity of 75%. That is 75% space capacity. So little by little, we are getting there, but we're seeing where we now have a new variant of COVID-19. This one is called the Omicron. I think that is how it's pronounced, the Omicron, and some new cases have begun to emerge around the world. And of course, the health officials, PAHO, WHO, are on alert, and they are monitoring these cases very carefully, because really and truly, we don't want to end back up in a situation where we were before, all of these COVID-19 restrictions and lockdowns. And I think people are very mentally fatigued and frustrated. You've been through 3 or more lockdowns and all these curfews and businesses having to close, to lay off staff, to send home people. This is not something that we would want to return to at all. And so, again, we have to do our part to keep the country open, and so that we can, operate safely and make money and continue our livelihoods. And just to say again, yes, once you are unvaccinated, or if you've only received 1 dose, I think that's how they classify the partially vaccinated, you may see a reduction in your quarantine time from 14 to 9 days. And it also says that although the variant is affecting certain restrictions, the Prime Minister said there would be no travel ban, as the variant is already in circulation outside of the southern countries of Africa. So, in other words, there would be no need for the ban. Says our health team has advised that it is not necessary at this time to impose a travel ban on South Africa or on the South African countries. The Prime Minister stated, he said, so far the variant has been found in 22 countries worldwide, including the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, the Netherlands, according to CNN. Although first reported in South Africa on November 9, triggering travel bans from multiple countries, international media reports have confirmed that the variant was present in Europe before travel restrictions. So, every day you get up, you're thinking that we're one step closer to getting out of the pandemic, and you're hearing of more cases, you're hearing of new variants. I think we have now come to the realization that at this point in time, COVID is not going to go anywhere right now. And so we're going to have to learn to adapt to this new normal. We're going to have to learn how to live with it. If we want to remain locked up forever and under curfew for forever and all of these restrictions, then so be it. But we're going to have to learn to adapt to what is here now and live with it. Of course, we had the grand opening of Carnival last evening, and many people perhaps asked the question, how was that possible in the midst of the pandemic? We have to live with COVID, and we have to find ways and means of operating, of doing things that we did before, but of course tweaked and done in a way that may or would not expose people to the threat of the virus and the other variants that are in circulation. So we really have to find a way to move forward. We can't stay locked up forever. We have our livelihoods to go on with. We have things to do in our lives, and you can't, stay locked down forever with COVID-19. But with all of this being said, I'm still using this opportunity to encourage people to continue to keep their guard up and don't let it down. Don't become complacent. Don't become and say, man, this thing is not serious, so I'm just going to relax and everything. I'm not asking you to be uptight and paranoid about the entire situation, because we have already established that COVID is going to be here for some time. So we really have to do what we have to do. We really have to adapt to what is here now and continue our livelihoods, continue what we've been doing before, but of course tweaking it and doing it a little bit different to how we were doing it before. Again, we can't stay locked up forever. It is 18 minutes past the hour of 11, and I want to entertain some calls from you members of the listening public. The numbers are 466-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989. You can call. You can also send us a WhatsApp at 662-2204. That is 662-2204. This is Inside the News on 1FM 98.9. Joining us for the second hour will be members of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, SCANIPA. And as you perhaps would know by now, on Monday, November 29th, 2021, SCANIPA hosted its annual Youth Parliament mock sitting. And this was held in observance and commemoration of Youth Month and Energy Month, celebrated in the month of November, of course, right here in St. Kitts. The resolutions that were debated were a resolution to adopt the National Energy Policy and a resolution to adopt the sugar-sweetened beverage policy. Of course, it's a mock parliament sitting, so it was very similar to the usual parliament. You had the members of the government side, members of the opposition side, Speaker, Clerk of the House, the Sergeant at Arms, you had members of the gallery. It was a whole thing. And so some Scaniparians will be joining us for the second hour, representing both government and opposition, to further elaborate and to answer any questions that you may have on the resolutions that we debated at Monday's sitting of Parliament. We'll take a break to say thank you to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News here on 1FM 98.9. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Remember, you can send us a WhatsApp message at 662-2204. That is 662-2204. We're also live on Facebook and YouTube. We'll take this short break, and we will be right back.
It's raining gifts at TDC Insurance Company this Christmas. Insure this season and get up to 30% off property insurance, up to 60% off motor insurance, and a host of freebies like free windshield cover and free alternative transport. Plus, you get 3 months where your payment is free. Contact us today for a quote. TDC Insurance. It's raining gifts this Christmas. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. Let's take our first call for this morning. Caller, good morning. You are live on the air.
Good morning, Devon. How are we doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine. How about you?
I'm giving God thanks, Every time I've made it to December.
Yes, we have.
Yes, yes. You know, when Corona raging, you just say, Lord, preserve me. Preserve us. And when you listen to the news, good morning to all the listeners at home and abroad. Christmas is coming. Pretty I can see all of the flowers changing. Have you seen any of the trees that leave the turn white yet?
No, I've not been observing.
You know what I mean, right?
Yes, yes.
And what do you call the one where the leaves that turn red? That is when, Christmas coming. I listened last night. Let me start with the history. I think when we keep, for the younger people, they think that Carnival is just 50 years. Carnival is, in fact, 64 years old. Are you aware of that?
No, I'm not. Tell me about it.
Carnival started in 1957.
Hmm.
You didn't know that?
No, this is news to me, actually.
But you're interested.
Yeah, this is news to me.
When we give news, half news.
Mm-hmm.
It's like with the renaming of the schools.
Mm-hmm.
Your grandmother would have gone to a school and your mother, and then they renamed the school and they said the school 20 years. When the school opened, maybe 1920, 1940.
Mm-hmm.
Carnival started in 1957 in response to the middle class reaction to what we call traditional sports. Now, I discovered the reason when I was doing some research in the archives.
Okay.
They were saying how it is crude, monotonous, because every year you say masquerade and whatever, and vulgar, they call it vulgar. And so they were clamoring for something different. And Mr. Basil Henderson, who was then a member, where he worked for the government at, I think it was social services.
Okay.
And he went to Trinidad on a workshop. And he saw the carnival there. And he brought back the idea of carnival. And it was embraced. Now, interestingly, most of the participants in the early carnival were the middle and the upper classes. I lived at the village, and I recall there was a chief of police, and he had a troop. There were the Indians. Every year he featured a different tribe of Indians. And among them were the middle class. Poor people couldn't afford those kind of luxury, They would have on the headdress very nicely. I mean, look, it was something to see. And afterwards, they tried opening it up. Cyril Frederick, you say you don't know the people. Cyril Frederick, Tota, Moonlight. So they had divisions so that the poor people could do something. And I interviewed Cyril Frederick, who told me that, they can't afford to buy beads and so kind of people. So they would go to the mountain and collect beads. Like you have the jumbie bead,
Right.
jumbie bead.
Right, yeah.
Right. And different things to make sure they get the strutting. They would pound what we call clatter, which is a kind of a cactus. You know about clatter?
No, I don't.
When they're small, the young boys make hunt out of them.
Mm-hmm.
You pound, they used to grow a lot of them around their fort lands.
Okay.
When a fisherman was, you go and you collect them and you pound them, until the fiber thing, you wash it out. And they would plait it, so they would comb them out.
Yeah.
So if they would have troops like African design, they would have the thing around their foot, around their hand, They did their best.
Yeah. So you said carnivals actually, the idea
Started
came
in
about
1957.
1957. Would you say?
I tell you, you get to 71.
So, but before you continue, carnival in 1957 or back in the 50s versus carnival now. What is your take on that? What do you like? What do you don't like?
What I like and what I don't like?
Yeah.
Well, it would have improved over the 14 years. What I did not like when it started first was that the poor people felt excluded. Even the queens. They didn't have a black queen until somewhere in the 60s. The first queen, if you see the picture, is a white. I mean, they're local born, eh? I think the first black queen must have been a Sandy Pointer. And that was years. And some people, even though they're black, you know how we were brainwashed? You had a white or you had to have in that kind of a blood. That's how it was. And then people like Mr. Tota from Newtown, Moonlight, Roberts, and they began to produce some excellent troops. Cyril Frederick. So bit by bit, and Aubrey York, he lived in the village then. He had a troop called the Highlanders, the Scottish troop. So every year he would have a different clan. And we as villagers, we went to look on, because you couldn't afford to join. So the majority of the black poor population was spectators. Now you have more participation. You see the difference?
Right.
Now, it was called Christmas festivities. It wasn't called carnival, it was called Christmas festivities. There are different functions. That at the factory center, they have the Queen show, the dance, the Calypso show, concert for the young people. And one of the chairman, the chair of politics is very corrosive, Mr. Herbert. You ever hear about Billy Herbert, right?
Yes, I have.
His father was the chairman, can't remember, it was a group. Jackie Kramer, which people don't give credit for. He was one of the owners, if you want, of TDC. He was the one who helped to revive the traditional sports, because remember I tell you, there were the middle class and the upper middle class and the colored middle class. They were decrying it, so he began to reorganize it with masquerade and so, with walk around town. This is after the start of the Rotary, because the Rotary would put on the Queen show and different things, the JCs and stuff. Now, in 1967, so there was one carnival, from 57 to 67, there was one carnival. Started on by the bottling company of the village, and it went into town. 67, they had the Anguilla attempt at overthrowing the government. After which, in 68, a number of labor supporters, I could call the name, they decided to try and get the labor people out of the carnival, which they branded as PAM. PAM started in 65. So the carnival going on since 57, you know. So, my good friend Stanley Franks, he could give you the history. They started their own soul carnival, but remember that the people were poor, The majority of them, the labor people were poor. So they had to take a different format. They call it soul carnival. They would have soul singing, different kind of activities. And some of the band leaders or troop leaders who were part of the Christmas festivities were civil servants. And they had to give it up from the Christmas festivities where they had been there for years and join the Soul Carnival. It so ended up in 69, so we have now two carnival. In 69 there was a clash because you have the two carnival ending up in town. The labor one and the PAM one, they used to say, Christmas festivities and Soul Carnival. And I think it was in 70 now, well, there was the issue of the Basti High School. Now the Christmas festivities used to end at the Basti High School. I think they used to end at the park. And after the Soul Carnival started, they were denied permission to use the park. So they started to use the Basti High School, which is adjacent. The headmaster of the Basti High School, Mr. Jones, I think his name was Jones. Somebody can correct me. He gave them permission, they asked for permission to use the grounds. As usual, he gave them permission. as usual. But on the day of the parade, which would have been the New Year's Day, when the Christmas festivities troop reached the gate by the Bastille High School to go in, they were met by the police, who told them they could not go in. And that led to a whole thing where the headmaster was terminated. There was teachers strike and all kind of thing. So Mr. Southwell, who was then the minister of maybe culture, whatever, he was a very cultural person, a very nice person. Well, Brian must have been the minister. And all of them denied entrance to the people. So they had to turn back and go into town. So in town, I think it was around the circus, you had the two carnivals them clashing. So Mr. Southwell decided, because remember Labour is in power, you know. So since they could not stop the carnival, they decided to use legislation. And to everybody's amazement, they went and nationalized the carnival, saying there cannot be any two carnival, there must be one carnival. Of course, it sounds good now, but then it ended up that on only the Labour, the chairman, I think was Mr. Jenkins, it turned out to be pure Labour. Pure Labour.
Well, caller, thank you so much for that. We'll take some more calls here on Inside the News.
I want somebody to fill you in. So what you had in 71 was the termination of the Christmas festivities, and they turned it into a Labour carnival. It is now called the national, because the access there can only be one. All right, then.
Thank you so much for your contribution. We'll take this short break to say thank you to our sponsors. It's 11:35. Of course, we're going to break at 12 for the headline news. And when we come back, we will be joined by Sniper to further speak on the Parliament sitting that the association held on Monday, November 29. Let's take this short break to give a shout out to the sponsors for this program. And when we come back, we'll continue Inside the News here on WINNFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. Let's take this short break. We will be right back.
People make the world go round.
Enjoy the convenience of getting all your documents in one place. At the TDC Copy and Print Center on 4th Street in Basse-Terre, we do just that. We offer document formatting, graphic design, and copy and print services. Our team of professionals truly understand all your needs, whether it be administrative, professional, academic, or personal. You bring it, we deliver it with quality every time. Visit the TDC Copy and Print Center today in the TDC Mall on 4th Street in Basse-Terre or call 465-2511. Your copy and print specialists are waiting to serve you.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius. It is about 22 minutes to the hour. This is Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. And we're talking about Carnival, and the caller there gave some very interesting history of a Carnival. I'm pretty sure not many people had an idea or knew about what was said there. I myself was shocked. That was news for me as well. I mean, one would think that Carnival started 50 years ago because they're celebrating the 50th anniversary, but with events like these and things like these, there's always a backstory of where it all started and of the many people that played a very integral role in the development of this festivity. And of course, many people have a lot of views about Carnival and even culture, but events like these, and some have their different opinions of Carnival and what it should be and what it should not be. If you should participate, if you should not participate. Carnival really brings out the culture of St. Kitts and Nevis, and it tells a story of who we are. I think last night's grand opening it exceeded my expectations. I think many people were looking for the usual, national anthem, 2 songs, and that's it. But it was indeed a performance. Let us head back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. You are on the air.
Yeah, good morning, man. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing good, thanks.
Yeah, man, I was impressed by that caller with that knowledge, she put out there. It's always good to acquire that knowledge, you know what I'm saying? Very interesting, man. This carnival spirit is in the air.
Yes, it is.
But it might be in the ear for some, it might be in the ear for some, and it might not be in the ear for some others. But, it was some interesting points that caller pointed out there. And 2 things I would probably do. I would probably encourage any other people who's listening that might want to come in and, spread more knowledge. And, because us as young people, some of us, we don't have the knowledge. You know what I mean? For me, I'm trying to acquire more of that knowledge as possible. Last night's presentation, to me, it was kind of impressive because, they highlighted a lot of historical events, and, I was just trying to pay attention as much as I could, man, and, I extract that knowledge as much as possible. I would definitely recommend that you try to look at the opening ceremony last night. The guy, John L. Powell, he pointed out some key historical points like that first caller just did. But one of the points that I'm realizing, prior to 1971, it appears like the carnival was a separate carnival, like the caller said. So it created some type of exclusive, some people probably felt excluded, or they probably felt that there was a need to nationalize it, to create that inclusiveness. And during the pandemic right now, there must be some persons out there who is feeling like that again right now, in terms of those persons who are not vaccinated and they're feeling that they are not included in this 50th sugar mass. And, I would probably want some of the callers to maybe call in and voice their opinion on that, and to maybe give any other historical points that they want to put out. But for yourself, because I know, we're still in the younger generation, me and you, I would recommend that you try to see that opening ceremony last night. It was kind of impressive to me, and I know St. Kitts and Nevis is 2 islands, and this is like the national carnival. There was a lot of presentation that includes, like the culture from both islands, and I was very impressed with that. And I really want to, give a big up to the organizers because there's a lot of dedicated hard work, man, to put this, event last night on. So that's my contribution for now, man. And you guys have a good day.
And caller, thank you so much for your contribution. We'll head back to the phone lines. We have another caller on the line. Let's take this call. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. You can call us back at 466-0989-762 and 662-0989. Caller, thank you so much for your contribution to this program. And I did not get the opportunity to view the entire opening last evening, but I went through some of the performances, and I would definitely agree with you. It was spectacular. Let's head back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yes, greetings.
Yes, good morning.
Concerning the carnival thing. The unvax thing in the carnival. Better they didn't keep the carnival. Better they had postpone carnival until whenever. Because this is causing even more separation amongst people. These things is madness. Madness, they can't do that. What kind of decision they make when them do things like this?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of meditation where they get them thoughts from?
Mm-hmm. When you
them say no carnival.
When you say this, you mean in terms of only allowing vaccinated?
Yes. This is further dividing people. This carnival thing is all of it from them time. So where it come from, because of this so-called whatever. And we don't know the origin of this thing, and we keep separating, we keep separating myself and keep dividing myself over this thing here where we don't even know the origin, the real origin of this thing here, why they bring it. What your man? We better be careful with the decision that we are making, We better be careful with the decisions that we are making all along, We are going to be graded down the road, Unborn generation. I'm to you, man. Put on the pot and go away, man. Unborn generation going to cry shame for me, On these things what we are doing, Yeah, man, we make wrong decision all the while, man. Wrong decision, and this is a wrong decision. It's better that they say no carnival. No carnival. And please, all the people, because nobody will be participating, vax and non-vax. But no, they must say only vaccinated people in carnival. So what happened to the vaccinated people who deal with carnival all the time? What happened to them? Sure.
Thank you, caller, so much for your contribution. If I may quickly comment on that, I don't think I would agree with you when you say that if you postpone carnival, everybody would be happy, because there, of course, were some people, and there are some people that were really waiting for carnival. Remember, we do have a fragment of the society and the economy that depend solely on carnival to make their living. This is where they make the extra dollar to provide for their family. So there were indeed, there are some people who make a living out of carnival. With respect to vaccinated and unvaccinated, that is a decision that was made by the Carnival Committee and with the government and task force, and it was made because of the situation that we are in now. Carnival is not just for us to go and jump up and down and have a good time, but it's also, a time for the country to make a little bit more money, to stimulate the economy and for people to earn and to continue their livelihood. And so the Carnival Committee, the task force, the Ministry of Health, and all the relevant people involved in the decision-making process felt that the best option to host this year's carnival would be in this context of only allowing people who have been fully vaccinated against COVID-19. We have a caller on the. Okay, we seem to have lost that caller. So, I that is my response. But you caller, absolutely, you can share your views. The phone lines are still open. We have a caller on the line, so we head back to the phone lines. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, go on again, Devon. Now, I don't understand how people describe discrimination. Because, truth be told, the people who vaccinated are the ones who are being discriminated, you know. They have to pay to go in and see, and you're home seeing free. You're seeing the exact thing at the exact time. You realize that?
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice you made. You had most people had ample time to get vaccinated if they really were interested. But you cannot be coming and balling discrimination when people who vaccinated have to go and pay. That is what you should be considering. Imagine I got to pay $40 that you're seeing for free. Have you thought about it? And aren't we aware of the new variant and the lot of shutting down that going on all across Europe and different places? Are we not aware? So, we want it open for Christmas and shut down for 22. Ask yourself the question. They want to go in the road and carry on, and everybody want to do as they like. And then when 2022 come now, we're back to where we started in 2020. Is that what we want? Things can't always go their own way. When the people do as they like, everybody suffer. You decide you don't want to be vaccinated. You knew beforehand. It isn't something they just say. If you want to attend, you have to be vaccinated. But they were generous enough. Other places where they make you pay to view. You don't think so?
Yeah.
Because a vaccinated person could say, why should I pay to go in India and people who are watching for free? Have you thought about that? Now, let me talk. Last night I heard some kind of can't see. So I listened to some of the presentation. But well, not all because I fell asleep. And I did not really try to figure out when it started. Did it start when Jonel spoke? I heard the string band. Please, string band players, get a five man. Get a fiver. It adds to it, you know that? If it's one thing I admire Nivision string band, but they have fifers. There is something missing when you play the string band on the television and no fife. The five man leads the tune, adds something to it, so you don't just get two drums. But I love the folk art part, the traditional part. And it is good to see that. I must give some credit to Zach and other people who are out there teaching the culture. Because that is our culture. More than the carnival is Trinidad. Whether we try to make it African or whatever, Trinidad it is. And we're going to come back to us. You know, so I must commend them. Now, let me get to the people who they put to sing over some of the songs. Not trying to be critical. But if you're singing a calypso song and you are rendered it by somebody, shouldn't it sound like a calypso? Answer that question for me.
I think with regards to that, Miss Henry, I think the idea wasn't really to sing it exactly like how the Calypsonians did it.
I know, but
but
shouldn't
to
it sound
bring
like a calypso?
it should, yes, but they did it with a twist. So I think the meaning was still there. For example, I heard the song by Arise by Arrow. I was listening to the one Arise by Arrow. It was done by, I think, Vinyl Powell. She did not sing it like a calypso. We know it's a calypso song. We know it's a calypsonian from St. Kitts. But I think very much, I think the message behind the song and the meaning of the song was still there. But they did explain.
People listen to songs, they're interested also in the music, while we know the lyrics.
Mm-hmm.
Because I said to myself, you will listen to country and western, not American music, and thing and so. And when they sing it over, it must sound like his dad. I listen to the song and say, hello. we need to nationalize our music. And going back to what I said before, we need, now take Agnes Skerritt, Mrs. Agnes Skerritt from Skerritt Drugstore. She alive still, you know.
Yes, I know that. Mm-hmm.
She was involved in the committee from the beginning, from the 57. You know, and other people who I heard, and everybody can't beat it, eh? And we like to wait too late, because imagine Lord Black. He used to play whole midnight shift on WINNMedia FM and other stations. Now that the poor gentleman is unable to function normally, we honor it. So why do we wait so late? For 50 years, you want to tell me so late?
Mm-hmm. Well, caller, thank you so much for your contribution. We want to take some more calls before we wrap up Inside the News here on WINNFM 98.9. Some varying views and comments by the callers with respect to Carnival and some of the performances and the issue of vaccinated versus unvaccinated. We'll give a shout out to the sponsors for this program. When we come back, we'll wrap up Inside the News, the first hour. Stay tuned for the news at 12, and we're going to come back at 12:15 thereabout for the second hour of Inside the News. Let's take this short break, and we will be right back.
People make the world go
round. Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. It's just about 3 minutes to the hour of 12. We're going to break at 12 for the headline news, and when we come back, we'll be joined by members of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association to speak on Youth Parliament mock sitting, which was held on Monday, November 29, 2021, at National Assembly Chambers. Let me just say thank you to all of you who participated in the first hour. I hope to get your participation for the second hour to engage the young people that will be coming in studio to further expound on the presentations that they made in Parliament. Of course, the resolution that we debated, the National Energy Policy and a sugar-sweetened beverage policy. The National Energy Policy lobbies for more use of renewable energy and natural resources, and the sugar-sweetened beverage policy highlights the alarming rate at which NCDs are present in the country and causing death, and measures to curb such. If you want to participate, you can call us at 466-0989, 762-0989, and 662-0989. You can also send us a WhatsApp at 662-2204. Any questions? You can even send a voice note if you're not able to call in, and we will definitely take that from you. If you want to ask any questions, grab your pen, your pencil, and paper to jot down what we said, and you can always call in and pose a question to any one of the panelists.
You found the sound. 98.9 Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
You have the keys to your new car this Christmas? Now it's time to get it insured. Visit DeDe Baldwin, agents for Caribbean Alliance Insurance, to save up to 65% off your motor insurance premium. All new clients are eligible for major discounts. Plus, there's lots of sweet prizes to be won. Switch and save and get in on the action. Visit us today in St. Kitts or Nevis, or give us a call at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st and all quotes are valid until January 31st. Drive secure this Christmas with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Terms and conditions apply.
With the Win Headline News, I am Kevon Brown. Making the headlines, the Ramada Hotel officially opens, adding 300 rooms to the national hotel inventory. Police investigating truth behind criminal claims circulating locally. Allegedly airport breach under review by top officials in Barbados. Internationally, in a European first, those over the age of 60 who refuse to get vaccinated will face monthly fines from January. Now, the details. The official opening of Phase 1 of the Ramada Hotel was held on Thursday, December 2nd. The new property has a 300-room capacity and will target stayover passengers to St. Kitts and Nevis. The Ramada Hotel is located in the Whitegate development area on the outskirts of St. Paul's, a primarily rural area of St. Kitts, and was developed by the Caribbean Galaxy Real Estate Corporation. President of Caribbean Galaxy Real Estate Corporation, Mr. Ying Jin, said once fully completed, the Ramada Hotel will be providing direct employment for approximately 400 citizens and residents of St. Kitts and Nevis, quote, not to mention the benefits to local communities for taxi drivers, shops, and other businesses, end quote. The project was approved by former Prime Minister the Right Honourable Dr. Denzel Douglas in July of 2014, and on September 16, 2014, the groundbreaking ceremony was held. 7 years later, Phase 1 of the hotel was opened. The completed hotel is expected to boast a 603-room capacity. No official word yet on when Phase 2 will be completed. The St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force is investigating several claims of predatory and canvassing claims circulating social media, most notably in a recent report alleging that students of the Morris Hillier Primary School were reprimanded by the school after the children were solicited by an unknown male during lunchtime this week. Wynn was informed that the matter had been reported to the Special Victims Unit. The school did not confirm or deny whether the children involved in the matter were reprimanded. In regional news, allegedly airport breach under review by top officials in Barbados. Barbados Today has the details.
The U.S. Department of Homeland Security, the U.S. Embassy in Bridgetown, and the National Security Council are all conducting investigations into an alleged major security breach at the Grant Lee Adams International Airport. The controversy follows the arrest of American Airlines passenger Cameron Hines, who was found with a revolver and 5 rounds of ammunition at the Miami International Airport after arriving in the U.S. aboard AA Flight 1089 from Barbados. The incident has triggered a chain of developments that is placing the country under careful scrutiny. At a press conference on Friday morning, Prime Minister Mia Mottley, who chairs the National Security Council, declared that someone will be held accountable.
I learned about it yesterday morning, and I have requested urgently a report, which I expect to receive very, very soon. But as I said before, somebody or bodies will be held accountable. This notion that people can do things that are in breach of the law or in breach of acceptable standards and get away with impunity is not going to stand, and the consequences for the country are grave and great. So let us be very clear that those breaches will be dealt with.
We now bring you these international reports.
In the fight against COVID-19, this is the government's expeditionary force. Mobile vaccination squads are fanning out to villages across northern Greece, where infections and misinformation run high. At the village of Mandalos, Maria Kuruktsidu is getting her first shot. She works at a local fruit canning factory with 250 people, some of whom refused to be vaccinated.
They didn't want to do it because of what they heard about a microchip being put inside you that controls you. That was the main reason.
Others think the vaccine is a financial hoax.
When a new vaccine comes out, they experiment for 10 years and then put it into production. That's how it usually happens. But as soon as this pandemic happened, they produced a vaccine so the multinationals could sell it. Am I lying?
Most don't believe such theories. In fact, at Mandalos, there aren't enough jabs to go round.
The first time they brought 40 shots. This time they brought 37, but we expect more.
Since early October, daily infections have tripled to about 6,000 and daily deaths to about 90. Government statistics show that 90% of these deaths are among the unvaccinated. To reduce deaths, authorities are trying to increase vaccinations. Dimitris Tsalikakis, the regional health director, is pairing up with mayors, priests and even football teams to ensure a good turnout for his vaccination vans and dispel myths surrounding the vaccine.
A lot of people came to the village square just to see what other people's vaccination would be like, because they had heard that you might get dizzy or fall over.
But the government is using the stick as well as the carrot. Starting in January, unvaccinated people over 60 will pay a monthly fine of $120, the first such penalty in Europe. The government's concern for older COVID sufferers stems from the fact that they are the most vulnerable to the disease. People 65 and over make up just 12% of COVID cases in Greece, but also half of all hospitalizations and 83% of deaths. The unvaccinated are being punished in other ways too. They're banned from indoor restaurants, bars, theatres and gyms, and have to present a 48-hour rapid test to enter banks, government buildings and non-essential shops. The idea is to preserve an open economy for the 62% of the population that is fully vaccinated. There's been a fourfold surge in vaccination bookings. The hope is that Greece will quickly close the vaccination gap with the rest of Europe. John Psaropoulos, Al Jazeera, Thessaloniki.
In 1973, the US Supreme Court made a ruling known as Roe versus Wade. It gave women in America new abortion rights. And now that same court looks set to take some of those rights away. There are many reasons why, and we should start in Mississippi, which has passed a law that bans abortions after 15 weeks of pregnancy. Now, Roe versus Wade gives women the constitutional right to an abortion up to the stage of fetal viability, around 24 weeks. This Mississippi law is a challenge to that. And after being blocked by a lower court, it's now being considered by the US Supreme Court.
We're very excited. We think this is a great case. It's a great law, and we look forward to seeing what the court does.
We are very concerned that anything short of a complete repudiation of what's happened in Mississippi with the legislation is going to be really damaging for access to reproductive health and reproductive freedom in this country.
The timing of this Mississippi law is connected to how the US Supreme Court has changed. Here are the current 9 Supreme Court justices. 3 were appointed by Donald Trump, and because of them, the court has a conservative majority. And the risk that the Supreme Court looks political was raised by one of the liberal justices.
Will this institution survive the stench that this creates in the public perception that the Constitution and its reading are just political acts?
Not all smell a stench, but the appointments were certainly political, and with the court more conservative, some US states saw a chance.
We're seeing a large amount of legislation moving through state legislatures right now, and it's due to the fact that policymakers are very conservative, extremely so. And these conservative legislators are buoyed by the fact that the judiciary is also now conservative because of all of the Trump appointments.
We also know individual states have passed more abortion restrictions this year than in any other year since Roe versus Wade. States are also poised to do more if the Supreme Court allows it.
There are 12 states that currently have laws called trigger laws, which will jump into place if the Supreme Court overturns Roe in whole or in part. And then we have done an analysis where about 24 states, so about half of the United States, are poised to restrict or ban abortion entirely.
The Supreme Court's makeup matters, but away from the court, abortion has become a more divisive and political issue as time's gone by. One New York Times columnist puts it this way, writing, as recently as 1984, abortion was not a deeply partisan issue, and polling from the time backs that up. This year, though, 70% of Democrats are pro-abortion rights, 74% of Republicans are anti. Now, there's no single cause of that, but both parties have fallen firmly behind their positions. High-profile anti-abortion Democrats are rarer, and Republicans and anti-abortion Christian organisations have got closer. And you'll frequently hear the language of Christianity on the issue of abortion. This is Texas Governor Greg Abbott in May.
Our Creator endowed us with the right to life, and yet millions of children lose their right to life every year because of abortion.
All of these factors help explain why this case is happening now, and it matters so much because the Supreme Court appears minded to act. This is Justice Brett Kavanaugh.
The Constitution's neither pro-life nor pro-choice on the question of abortion, but leaves the issue for the people of the states or perhaps Congress to resolve in the democratic process.
And as the possibility of the court intervening increases, there's concern that reduced access to abortion care risks women's health, to which anti-abortion politicians offer reassurances like these.
In Texas, we protect innocent human life. And for years now, we've been coming alongside the mothers, providing more funding, more help for expectant mothers. We don't just forget about them after the child comes along. We want to support those mothers while we protect that innocent human life.
Everywhere we turn on this issue, we're presented with two very different views of what is for a woman to decide and what is for the law to decide. And both are uncompromising.
There is no scientific disagreement that a woman is carrying a live human being in her womb, and states should be allowed to prevent the killing of human beings.
They are asking to repeal Roe versus Wade, and it's none of their business. And why should anybody have any right over anybody else's control of their own bodies?
And while these arguments play out, polls suggest there's a majority of Americans in favour of abortion rights, as there has been for years. But judicial and political power don't always match the majority. Donald Trump's victory in 2016 came with fewer votes than Hillary Clinton and with 46% of the overall vote. But it was him who became president, and it was him who selected the 3 new justices. It was a political triumph for the Republicans, and that triumph has now, in turn, put anti-abortion campaigners within sight of their goal.
You were listening to the Win FM headline news on 98.9. Our top stories were: the Ramada Hotel officially opens, adding 300 rooms to the national hotel inventory. Police investigating truth behind criminal claims circulating locally. Allegedly airport breach under review by top officials in Barbados. Internationally, in a European first, those over the age of 60 who refuse to get vaccinated will face monthly fines from January. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News was brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, KDP Enterprises, The Grange, and Carib Brewery.
You have the keys to your new car this Christmas? Now it's time to get it insured. Visit Didi Baldwin, agents for Caribbean Alliance Insurance, to save up to 65% off your motor insurance premium. All new clients are eligible for major discounts. Plus, there's lots of sweet prizes to be won. Switch and save and get in on the action. Visit us today in St. Kitts or Nevis, or give us a call at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Promotion ends December 31st, and all quotes are valid until January 31st. Drive secure this Christmas with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Terms and conditions apply.
We have a
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness, it's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Found the sound 98.9 WINNMedia FM.
People make the world go round.
welcome back to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. It is just 12:23, and as I said before, joining us for the second hour will be Sniper, who will be talking about the Parliament sitting that we hosted on Monday, November 29, at the National Assembly Chambers. The two resolutions debated were the resolution to adopt the National Energy Policy and the Sugar Sweetened Beverage Policy.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
This is so shiny. This is so new. I want a TDC automotive vehicle for 2022.
At TDC Automotive, old is out and new is in. Visit us and take our 2021-2022 models for a spin. Boasting all new features, colors, whistles, and bells, you can reserve your vehicle today. There's no need to dwell. Get your VAT Day savings, registration, licensing, rewards points, and much more. Honestly, we just don't know what you're waiting for.
Visit your automotive VAT Day specialist today for the best vehicles and best value. TDC Automotive, #1 for a reason.
People make the world go
This is Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9, the second hour. I'm your host for today, Devon Cornelius, and we are joined by members of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association. We have on the line Miss Dominique Williams, and I will be representing Sniper today. Some of the members are running a bit late, but they should be here very shortly. Dominique, good morning. Can you hear me?
Hi, good morning. Yes, can you hear me?
Awesome. I'm hearing you clearly. So, as I mentioned, the other members are running a bit late, and so we will be joined by them shortly. And of course, we're here to talk about our parliament sitting that we hosted on Monday, and you had the privilege of sitting on the government side. Remind me again of your portfolio and which resolution you tackled.
Oh, I don't have my portfolio in front of me, but from the top of my head, I was the Minister of International Trade, Tourism, and Transportation and Ports. And I had the privilege of speaking on the resolution to adopt a national energy policy for St. Kitts and Nevis.
Awesome. And of course, I sat on the opposition benches as deputy leader of the opposition and member of parliament for Nevis 9. And I also spoke on the resolution to adopt a national energy policy for St. Kitts and Nevis. Again, this sitting was held on Monday, November 29 at the National Assembly chambers. If you missed this sitting, you can always check our Facebook at Sniper Association, and you can also visit our YouTube channel at SKNYPA Sniper to view this Parliament sitting. We are still waiting for the other members to join us, but Dominique, we are going to get into the discussion. So, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to look at the national energy policy first, as both of us debated on that. Now, this national energy policy, it really lobbies for more use of renewable energy and natural resources. And of course, as we are small island developing states continue to experience the harsh effects of climate change, the need for more use, the need for use and investment and development in renewable energy resources and natural resources is needed like last week instead of next week. And so I think that the resolution was timely. And of course, it was an opportunity for members of the public and the people in St. Kitts and Nevis to hear the views of young people on matters that is really of matters that are really of national interest. What is your take on the resolution, and what do you think the St. Kitts and Nevis would benefit from if something like this is well, it's already there, but give me your take on the resolution.
Okay, thank you. The resolution, as you said, is definitely timely. I think we all know that our current ways of generating energy on the island simply isn't cutting it. Not only, I'm sure everybody knows, like the price of fossil fuels, gets passed down to the consumer, but also the inefficiency is also something that could be alleviated if we switched over to renewable energy. Studies have shown that the electricity bills that we pay due to relying on fossil fuels gets passed down to small businesses, and it's actually a major retardant in like the growth of businesses in the Caribbean. And all of these things, while they may not seem directly connected, will all be remedied if we simply made the conversion to renewable energy, which is easy to talk about, but not so easy to do, which was also addressed in this policy, which I think is important because renewable energy is expensive to switch to all at once. And so I think it is important to do it step by step in an approach. I specifically spoke about the public education and electric car portion of the resolution. So that is where I would be able to speak best. And in doing my research, it actually would be more cost efficient in the long run to purchase fossil fuels, which I'm sure not many people in St. Kitts and Nevis know about, because we see electric cars and we think of the high price to buy it up front, but then after that, when you're not paying for gas, it's actually much cheaper in the long run. And so I think all of these things, it's important that it gets highlighted in ways like this and the mock sitting. And I believe that if such a bill were to come about, we would experience mostly benefits from it.
I agree with you, Dominique. When I spoke on this resolution on Monday, I did accept the fact that, yes, this is something that we would want to see, and this is something that small island developing states, in particular St. Kitts and Nevis, would benefit positively from, and it would come as an advantage to us. However, I used the opportunity to highlight some of the barriers that we may face or other countries have faced in the past, when trying to pursue, renewable energy and to explore natural resources, I made reference to our geothermal project that we on the island of Nevis, which we heard about on numerous occasions in the past, but because of a number of barriers, which I think the big one is the financial barrier, the financial aspect of it, with regards to funding and finding proper funding, that in and of itself is a major problem, because we find that perhaps you may get an investor and then somebody will pull up because they may not have confidence in it. And then you have other risks to consider, legal risk, country risk, and all of these barriers. And so while I was in support of a resolution of this, seeking for us to use more renewable energy, more natural resources, I highlighted the fact that it is easier said than done. It's always good to talk about renewable energy and us as a country, the country investing in such. But the startup cost to it is on most cases really high, and to maintain it is high, and to even fund projects like these are really, really high. And so that was really my concern, and I used the opportunity to make reference to a few countries that have experienced some difficulties. The plan is there, wonderful layout of the plan and how people will benefit from this. But in terms of, really finishing these projects and getting them, up and running, that has always been a major challenge. Dominique, it is 12:35. We'll take a short break to give a shout out to the sponsors for this program. And when we come back, we're going to continue Inside the News here on 1FM 98.9. For those of you who just tuned in, we have in studio today, or joining us for today's edition of Inside the News, is SCANIPA, the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association. And on Monday, we hosted our mock parliament sitting in celebration of Youth Month and Energy Month. The two resolutions were a resolution to adopt the National Energy Policy, and of course, we had the sugar-sweetened beverage policy. We'll take a short break, and when we come back, we'll continue the discussion on this resolution. Let's take this break, and we will be right back.
Is 98.9. 98.9 is Win FM.
People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects or sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
It's raining gifts at TDC Insurance Company this Christmas. Insure this season and get up to 30% off property insurance, up to 60% off motor insurance, and a host of freebies like free windshield cover and free alternative transport. Plus, you get 3 months where your payment is free. Contact us today for a quote. TDC Insurance. It's raining gifts this Christmas. Terms and conditions apply.
People make the world go
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Enjoy the convenience of getting all your documents in one place. At the TDC Copy and Print Center on 4th Street in Basse-Terre, we do just that. We offer document formatting, graphic design, and copy and print services. Our team of professionals truly understand all your needs, whether it be administrative, professional, academic, or personal. You bring it, we deliver it with quality every time. Visit the TDC Copy and Print Center today in the TDC Mall on 4th Street in Basse-Terre or call 465-2511. Your copy and print specialists are waiting to serve you.
People make the world go
Welcome back to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9. My name is Devon Cornelius and I'm your host for today's edition. And we have joining us today the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association. And of course, we are here to speak on our recent Parliament sitting, which was held on Monday. Two resolutions debated were the National Energy Policy and, of course, the Sugar-Sweetened Beverage Policy. We have in studio, President of the Association, Mr. Mariel Knight, who sat on the government bench and he spoke on the National Energy Policy. We also have Ms. Cara Daly, who acted as leader of the opposition. Sorry, Mr. Knight was the Prime Minister on the government bench, and Ms. Daly acted as leader of the opposition and she spoke on the National Energy Policy. I, of course, acted as deputy leader and I also tackled the National Energy Policy. We have on the line Miss Dominique Williams, who also sat on the government bench and she too spoke on National Energy Policy. I think we're supposed to be joined by one more member. Okay, so I realize all of us here are for the National Energy Policy, so I'm hoping that someone would be able to shed or speak a little bit about the sugar-sweetened beverage policy. I'm sorry, at this time we're not taking any calls. We're going to get the discussion underway and then we're going to take some calls from you, members of the public. Good morning again, and thank you guys so much for coming to WINNFM 98.9 for us to have this discussion. And let me just give you this opportunity to introduce yourself and tell members of the public who you are briefly and what you intend to do here on Inside the News.
To all the listeners, wherever you might be here in the Federation or around the world, I thank WINNFM for hosting us this afternoon. As Devon would have indicated, my name is Mariel Knight and I am the president of SCNIPA. And at the last sitting on Monday, I would have served as the Prime Minister and the mover of the resolution on the national energy policy. And I'm glad to be here today to shed some light on what was discussed.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Cara Daly. I am a general member of SCANIPA, and I served as the leader of opposition during the last parliament sitting. And I also spoke on the energy policy.
Thank you so much, Ms. Daly. And we also, well, Dominique already introduced herself as we began earlier. So, Mariel, we're going to begin with you as you acted as the Prime Minister and you spoke on the national energy policy. Can you say briefly, what is your overall view of this policy and why was it chosen at this point in time? And, you know, others deem it as timely and necessary. What is your take on that?
Currently, we're living in a climate-sensitive world, and we know that a lot of action and a lot of talk is currently occurring with regards to climate change and the effects of the activities that we carry out in our day-to-day lives that have a severe impact on the world, the ozone layer. And we know that coming soon, there'll be a time where the resources that we use to generate electricity will be depleted, speaking mainly to diesel and other fossil fuels like coal that are used around the world to generate our electricity. And we know that electricity is essential. And now in this century, we cannot give it up. And so what we must do instead is change how we generate it. And what the energy policy did and what it's supposed to do, is give a comprehensive plan of action as it relates to the transition of electricity to clean sources. And so I believe that the energy policy does that. And so coming off of the heels of COP26 and this year, where there were numerous energy and climate talks, we figured that this had to be something that SCANIPA debated because renewable resources and renewable energy is something that we as a Caribbean region must switch over to. And as well as the fact that we have them in abundance, speaking to the sunshine that is year-round and the wind energy, and in some countries, geothermal, and like St. Vincent and Jamaica, hydroelectricity. And so these resources that we have in abundance, we must utilize them for a greener world.
Cara, what about you? What is your take on the policy that was debated on Monday?
I think it was quite a timely policy, as Mariel mentioned, especially as we know our government has explored geothermal energy, solar energy, and wind energy. And it was a good opportunity for us to share more awareness about it and get the youth perspective on what's taking place.
Okay, so on Monday, I acted as deputy leader and I more so focused on Section A of the resolution, which speaks to diversify the energy matrix and energy planning through the identification of all barriers, technical, financial, social, and constraints to the use of renewable energy in all sectors. And as I was discussing with Dominique earlier, I spoke more so to the financial barrier, as this is one of the predicament that we have seen where countries may want to invest in renewable energy and natural resources, but that problem of funding and finding adequate funding has always been a problem. We're seeing, I think it was St. Lucia that they had a fantastic plan, but when it came down to the funding, the money wasn't enough to see the project go through. What is your take on that, Mariel or Cara?
Well, I mean, in St. Kitts, I see we have, similar challenges. I mean, in terms of the geothermal energy. I mean, that's quite an expensive endeavor to undertake, especially as, you need persons that have all different types of expertise, physicists. It's very expensive to undertake, even though, the overall outcome would be beneficial. And as Mario said, we don't have any opportunity for hydroelectricity, but I mean solar energy. I mean, we have year-round sunshine. I mean, that's something that I think that we should take advantage of.
Mm-hmm. I think you were the one to speak on the social barrier of it, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
I spoke to the promotion of I spoke to the promotion of the renewable energy sources and technologies in domestic, industrial, agriculture, commercial, private sector, and consumers in investments through provision of subsidies and duty concessions on imported equipment, and also the feasibility of operating electric cars in the Federation, and the identifying the infrastructure needed to do so.
For the benefit of people who are listening right now, can you go a little bit more into depth, or just give a recap of parts of your presentation?
Okay. Well, I spoke to promoting, as I said, promoting the use of energy sources and technologies, especially giving subsidies and duty-free concessions on the imported equipment. Currently, there are provisions made with the Customs and Excise Department for the importation of solar equipment and so forth. So when you import them, even though it's an investment, it's an expensive endeavor to undertake, but the government has provided us duty-free concessions on the importation of that to kind of, encourage persons to purchase that type of material. However, as in later down in my presentation, speaking about the feasibility of electric cars in Federation, the memorandum on the concession does not explicitly state any concessions for electric vehicles. I mean, currently, we don't have any infrastructure that allows for electric vehicles at this point in time. But I mean, that is something that we can, explore. I gave in my presentation, I spoke about, us in Parliament needing to implement, policies and laws that are guided by our current culture. And then, I mean, for electric cars, that from one end, you look at it, okay, that is something that would be beneficial, because, I mean, I know a lot of persons who have vehicles now would notice the rise in gas prices at this time, And I spoke to, the filling up your tank, it doesn't last as long as it used to, because, the gas is, quite expensive right now. So electric cars might be the option. But based on our culture, I mean, how many of us, actively keep our phones charged? Because the electric vehicle, you have to charge it. And, it doesn't charge as fast as going to the gas station to fill up your tank with gas. It has to charge for at least 30 minutes, depending on if you have a fast charger or if you charge it at home and stuff like that. And, if a lot of us, don't keep our phones charged, a lot of us can keep our phones dead, like our Prime Minister, like our, Prime Minister and, Minister of Energy, don't keep our phones charged. So how can we expect, how, persons have to change their type of lifestyle. Okay, well, I need to keep my vehicle charged, because if I don't, I might get stranded on Southeast Peninsula.
Right. If I could add to that, I think right now, I'm not sure how open people would be to electrical cars. I say that because you would see now that we have newer models of, let's say, Nissan, Toyota. And while there are people who can afford to purchase these vehicles, they refuse to buy them because they may want a fancy car, because the mechanic that I have now won't be able to fix this new car. Exactly. And so I know some people who are still into the key and the ignition instead of the push and go, because, people just have this notion that, the old manual way is still the way to go. And sometimes it may save you, but I think you have to move with the time. So if we get to a point where we have to go to electrical vehicles, I think they're going to be, in the first instance, some pushback, and people are like, I don't want any electrical cars. But eventually, we're going to adapt to it. It's just like, I remember when we were here the last time, I forgot what the resolution was, but we were talking about like mobile banking and all of these things.
Yeah, the ease of doing business.
Ease of doing business, yes. And, in the beginning, people were a bit skeptical about mobile banking and online banking. And now, I would say you have a lot of people who don't even know how inside of a bank looks anymore. So they do mobile banking and all of these things. And so I believe that in the long run, people are going to accept that electrical cars would be the best thing for the environment and would eventually open their arms to them.
Yes, and another thing I also highlighted was, we're talking about an alternative from, gas or diesel fuel vehicles. I mean, we're going to electric cars, but what about bicycles? I mean, that is eco-friendly, that is cost-friendly as well. I mean, I think more needs to be done to promote biking. I mean, form of exercise, However, currently, with the way our roads are, I mean,
They're
that does
too
not...
narrow for a biking lane.
It's not, conducive for bikes. When you're driving... I don't know how many of you listening. I mean, when you're driving, if a bike is in front of you, I mean, a lot of persons, you're on a bike, and persons don't treat your bike as if you're a vehicle.
Yeah.
They try to run you off the road almost.
Yeah, I get nervous.
You're taking up my space. You need to move out of the road and let me pass. And
file us for a whole lane just for them.
Yeah, with all the road revamps and changes that we're going through, I mean, we should maybe think about implementing a biking lane for bikers to promote that sort of stuff as well.
Mm-hmm. So. We also have Dominique on the line. Dominique, can you remind us of the which one of the sections in the resolution for this policy that you spoke on?
I spoke mainly on electric cars and also changing public sentiment and education about renewable resources and implementing the various aspects of this energy policy. So it's very interesting to hear us talking about changing public sentiment, and that, yes, I agree, it would be gradual before we open up and adopt electric cars. But at the same time, I guess it's because it's what I spoke about. If the government and the Department of Energy actively also sought to educate consumers about the benefits of electric vehicles, I believe that change would come much faster. Because although maybe in St. Kitts, because of our current energy grid, it might not be as cheap. In many countries, the price of charging your car is as cheap as $10. And I'm pretty sure that's significant in terms of what it currently costs to fuel our cars. So even if it comes up to like $20 or $30, $50 to charge an electric car, I'm pretty sure in the long run, many people would see the benefits of an electric car being cost efficient and making the change sooner than we'd probably think.
Mm-hmm. Would you say that people would accept something like this? Because I think as it is right now, people like the idea of renewable energy. This is just my opinion. People like the idea of renewable energy and, more exploration of natural resources. But when it is really time to invest in renewable energy and natural resources, we kind of shy away and we prefer to go the old route. Dominique, what is your take on that?
I agree wholeheartedly with that sentiment. I know even myself, as I'm trying to be, like we said, choose better products for the environment. Sometimes it's hard to make these changes, especially if it's one as drastic as, buying a car that is probably more expensive than what you would be originally considering. But I think it's important to remember that everything is an investment, not just a financial investment, but also an investment in our planet and an investment in a sustainable future. And while it may be difficult now, I believe that it's important to take all of these things into consideration when making these changes and to just do it gradually. So you may, you have to think that financial investment would consider the benefits that will come in the long run.
And what we're speaking about now, where people may push back and say, I'm not really into this electrical car thing, we have in this resolution, I think it's section G, which says implement public campaigns geared towards educating the population about the benefits of using renewable energy. So this section would assist in, really educating people more, and it can also start at the primary school level where we know more about renewable energy and natural resources. Because I think part of the problem is that we don't know all that we should know or need to know about it, and so that is why we're not as open as we should be. We're at the top of the hour. It is 1 o'clock, and so we'll take a short break to say thank you to our sponsors, and when we come back, we'll continue inside the news here on WINNFM 98.9. I'm also going to open the phone lines to get some questions from members of the public. Anything that you're not clear on the resolutions that we debated on Monday, you can call us at 466-0989-762 and 662. You can also send us a WhatsApp at 662-2204. 662-2204. Let's take this short break and we will be right back.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Gift for Dad's birthday? Click. Ooh, Janice's retirement party? Click. Outfit for my girl's wedding? Click.
With TDC Airbox, you click, we ship. Register for your free U.S. mailbox today and shop all your favorite stores online. Enjoy the convenience. Free consolidation up to £10. Competitive rates. Free package tracking account with live notifications. Free delivery and, of course, excellent customer service. Visit our website at tdcairbox.com and register today. For more information, visit our offices at the C.A. Paul Industrial Site in St. Kitts and Penny's Industrial Site in Nevis. Follow us on social media at TDC Airbox. TDC Airbox. You click, we ship. Terms and conditions apply.
People make the world go
And we're back with Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9, and we have in studio today members of the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, following our debate on Monday on two very important resolutions: a resolution to adopt the national energy policy, and of course a resolution to adopt a sugar-sweetened beverage policy. We have in studio President of the Association, Mr. Moriel Knight, General Member, Miss Cara Daly, and a friend of Sniper, Miss Dominique Williams. What some may not know, I'm sitting as the host of this program and also as the PRO of Sniper. Hope it's not a conflict. The phone lines are open, so you can call us at 466-0989, 762 and 662. You can also shoot us a WhatsApp message at 662-2204. So we're continuing our discussion here on the sitting on Monday. Now, while we may not have a representative to speak on the sugar-sweetened beverage policy, we can use the resolution that we have to guide us through this discussion. So we saw where some members were able to make their contribution to a resolution to adopt the sugar-sweetened beverage policy. And in a nutshell, this policy highlights the alarming rate of NCDs in the country and death. And it also presented measures to curb such and to promote a sugar-free lifestyle. We are looking at the first section of this resolution, which speaks to, it says, implement a 30% excise sugary beverage tax on all non-alcoholic caloric sugar-sweetened beverages, with adjustments made annually or as often as shall be required until there is observed and desired behavioral changes. And 2, conduct multi-sectoral research studies to assess the impact of the SBT, that's the tax, on sales and consumption of SSBs, to be implemented at 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, and 10 years post-tax implementation. Who wants to tackle these two sections?
Ball rolling, Devon. As you'd have just highlighted, there is a high incidence of non-communicable diseases here in the Federation and across the region, actually. And looking at the statistics for St. Kitts, we are looking at something in the region, somewhere in the region of around 83% of all deaths in St. Kitts and Nevis being attributed to a non-communicable disease. And we are speaking to diabetes, hypertension, and most of these we know are caused by lifestyle choices, dietary choices, what we choose to eat, what we choose to drink, how we choose to exercise. And what we realize is that a lot of people make decisions, especially early on in their lives, that they don't know could impact them later on down the line. And we look at the consumption of sugary foods and salty foods, and we recognize that this is an area that we could change. And it's not new that the government would assist the public, if it were, or guide the public as to choosing healthy lifestyles. We look at things like higher taxes on cigarettes, higher taxes on alcohol, and these type of excise taxes that seek to change behaviors and allow the public to live in a way that would not only benefit them, but reduce the cost for the government, because we recognize that when people become sick with NCDs, they land in the hospital, and the government now has to bear the cost for these persons while they're warded. And for those who now have to live with diabetes, we're looking at insulin costs, we're looking at regular checks, and so these eventually tax the public purse. And so what we want, not only because it's costly, but because we want the best for our own lives, because a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. And so we want to ensure that as a people, we can guide our fellow citizens to have a healthy lifestyle and choose to live healthily, so that down the line, they could continue to be productive citizens. And so through the implementation of this tax, it would ensure that consumption of these beverages, these sugar-sweetened beverages, are curtailed, they're reduced, so that we could start to see some kind of behavioral shift. Because we understand that when taxes go on, people tend to reduce their consumption. When you have to spend more, you would quicker go to something else. And so these types of government interventions serve to look after the people and ensure that we continue to live the healthy lives that we should. Speaking to point B on the multi-sectoral research, we understand that this isn't something that we could just implement and leave alone, because attacks of this nature would have far-reaching impacts. It'll impact the private sector, the businesses. It would impact those who may have been very dependent on these energy drinks for personal energy, for satisfaction. We know that it will cut profits of schools who may sell these in the cafeterias. And so we want to ensure that even though we are implementing the tax to, as it were, change the behavioral lifestyle, we don't want it to be that we forget all the people who it will impact. And so we want to assess what is being done or what is happening as a result of the tax implementation. And the periods mentioned, 1 year, 3 year, 5 year, 10 year, we believe would allow for that comprehensive view as to if there has been the change result that we want, the reduced NCDs, the reduced incidences of diabetes, as well as the actual change, and the see how best we could have assist those who may have been impacted by the change.
Kara, you have to add to this? Sure.
Well, I just wanted to add that a problem, well, this one of the sources of the problems might be that persons are not educated well enough to interpret the back of the labeling on these, beverages. And sometimes, you go into the supermarket and you just pick up what you see and you don't even know. Or you pick up something that you think it's healthy, or it might have the wording that gives you the impression that it is healthy. But when you read the labeling, you realize that, oh, well, it has so much sugar in it, or it has, a whole cup of sugar. You don't realize how much you are consuming, and awareness is something that's very important. With what we also mentioned is that something like front of label packaging, front of package labeling, would assist in something like this. So consumers are aware upfront that, okay, this product is high in sugar, it's high in sodium, they can, lead to hypertension, it could lead to diabetes and stuff like that. Just like how with cigarettes, they have the front label, smoking kills. Persons know, okay, if I use a cigarette, there's a very high possibility that, you can die. It can lead to my death, And I think that's something that we may need to consider in the Federation. But awareness is key as well, and it's also left up to options and affordability. Because if you go into a store and a healthy smoothie costs $10, but a soda costs $4. Come on, I'm going to go for $4. I'm going to use the $4, I get satisfied, and I save another $6, But if you go and the soda is, let's say, $12, but the healthy drink is 10. If through subsidies it's reduced to 8, I'll go with the 8. So it's really the implementation of the sugary beverage tax is really to change behavior of the consumers.
Right, Dominique, can I get your take on this?
I have to say I agree mostly, especially with the part that I think the part of the bill that addresses the subsidies is extremely important, because the price of healthy options is often not as competitive with sodas and just food that is overly processed, and which makes it very cheap. And so I think by adding the tax and making the prices more competitive, then at least we would remove that financial constriction to having a healthier diet.
Kara, you touched on something that a lot of people talk about all the time whenever we're having a conversation like this on healthy food versus unhealthy food. And many people argue that it's better for me to buy a Coke for $5 than to buy a healthy drink for $25. And I think it was Joel, who acted as Minister of Health,
Yes.
who made the point that I think he was saying that the food that you may consider to be healthy is not necessarily more expensive. It's just perhaps your choice and your lifestyle. Because I know people who they live a very healthy lifestyle. They don't eat red meat. They don't drink these sodas and juice and all of that. And sometimes I ask them, how do you do that? How isn't it expensive to live healthy and buy all these healthy things? And they're like, no. I mean, you could grow half your stuff at home, and there are actually some very good prices. I think what happens is that we would go to the store, and we would see the Coke for $5, and then we see an energy drink, and we're like, oh, the energy drink is healthy, but it's expensive. But really and truly, it's not healthy, because at the front of the label, you're seeing, and the drink make it's strong and everything, but on the back, you're seeing that it really has 10 cups of sugar.
Maybe even the same amount as the Coke.
Right, or even more than the Coke,
Yeah.
So I think it's really our knowledge of the healthy stuff and what is not good for you, and our choice and what we're willing to sacrifice to live healthy and to consume healthy food.
Chiming in right there as well, Devon. I think the analogy Joel would have gave us, you can't compare a Coke to a chicken salad from a gourmet restaurant. And what he said there was quite right, that oftentimes we think eating healthy would be having to eat these lavish salads and these expensive dishes, but it comes down really to just budgeting and planning your meals out at maybe the start of the week. So when you go shopping, you buy these vegetables that you may need, or as Devon would say, you grow them at home. And the next issue that arises is we realize that if you don't spend it now, you'll spend it later. And so where the Coke may look like a $5, it's really $2 being added to your medical bill 20 years down the line. And these $2 adding up. When you finally do end up in the hospital, that's a whopping bill right there for you. And so it comes down to long-term planning and the cost that you're willing to forego now in the short run for the long run. And it's that, do you want to, as it were, squander your health now so that you have to now face your consequences later down? And so it all comes down to choice and choosing that healthy lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. We have a caller on the line, so we'll take this call quickly, okay? Caller, good morning. You are on good afternoon, sorry. You're on Inside the News.
I want to know you can call me ugly. It's an order.
I'm sorry. Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. Good afternoon to you and the young people. It's nice to hear young people debating issues, important issues. So we have to start getting them thinking that way.
Right.
Now, the one with the energy policy, is that a new one, or has it been revised? Because there has been energy policies.
There was an energy policy implemented, I think, in 2011, and then another one in 2014. And so I think if there aren't current revisions being made, there is supposed to be a revised energy policy. I can't exactly quote it, but there is an energy policy, and I think work is being done to update it.
I should have a city someplace with it, Yeah. But you see, size has a lot to do with it, You think that you can do?
Mm-hmm.
In terms of energy and the energy cost? I was quite comprehensive. The only trouble is that when you take a look at the cost of the solar panels, they're expensive.
Very. But again, it comes down to investment.
They are expensive because they don't even come with an insurance in hurricanes. We are in a hurricane zone, you know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm. So, Mr. Henry,
Barbados, no matter how small the house is, you see a panel on it. They used to heat their bath water and things like that. It's not common here because I expected the Taiwanese had an exhibition and I was shocked for the output and the price. And even though the government gives tax exemptions, so they're still expensive. So we have got to be able to find. Do you have any idea what it will cost the government to put in the farm they intend to put in?
Okay, thank you so much for your question. We want to take some more calls before we wrap up, so we'll allow one of our panelists to respond to that question.
I know there was mention of it during the debate on Monday because there was a member, the Deputy Prime Minister, Duana, who spoke directly to the energy farm that Ms. Henry is referring to. I cannot currently recall how much she did say, but I know that it is a multi-million-dollar project that should, when completed, be the largest solar farm in the Caribbean region, as well as diversify our matrix now to cover a third of the consumption of electricity in the Federation just by solar energy alone. So I would have to do some more reading as to the exact cost, but I do know, Ms. Henry, that it is a multi-million-dollar project.
All right, thank you so much for that. It is 1:21. We're winding down. We have just about 9 minutes left, and so we'll see how many more calls we can get in at this time. Again, the lines are open. You can call us at 466-0989, 762 and 662. And you can also send us a WhatsApp at 662-2204. This is Inside the News on 1FM 98.9, and we are winding down, and we have in studio the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association, SCNAPA. So we are continuing where we left off. I know we had a caller talking about the national energy policy, but quickly, if we can continue on the sugar-sweetened beverage policy. We're seeing what it says: restrict the sale and advertising of all carbonated soft drinks, sodas, flavored juice drinks, sports drinks, sweetened teas, coffee drinks, energy drinks, and sweetened milk drinks at all hospitals, health centers, and school cafeterias or canteens. First and foremost, these things should not even be in hospitals or health centers in the first place. But can I get your take on it, Mariel or Cara or Dominique?
As you said, said, Devon, these things should not be in the hospital. You should not be served death in a place that should be renewing your health, as it were. And what we realize is that we have to start leading by example. And so the hospitals and the health centers should not be selling highly sugared beverages, highly sugared products. They should be leading by example by serving natural fruit juices, whether it is a natural juice bar, natural smoothie bars, Cara would have alluded to earlier. And so I think they have to lead by example. And so that point within the resolution would basically give some permission to do that. And we also see that there's mention to school cafeterias, because we know that sugar is highly addictive and it really is targeted towards children. And these things are really advertised to those under 18. And so by restricting their sales in school canteens, we can effect that lifestyle change from early on in their life so that when they become an adult, it's not hard to break the habit. And so if we begin by these small little things, restricting how much sugar could be sold in the canteen, could definitely have them change their lifestyle before they even go down that bad road to the NCDs.
I would just like to add that to re-emphasize the point of changing the public's perception about things. Because, for example, if you go to the hospital and you buy a ginger ale, a lot of us locally, think ginger ale, they don't think of ginger ale as a soda. They think of it as medicine. You have an upset stomach, you take the ginger ale, because the ginger nullifies, any bad connotation. It's natural enough, and it is not classified as a soda. So I just like to add that, changing the public perception about it is very important.
I'm very glad you said that. You would see now, specifically for primary school students, sweeties and all these things are being sold at the schools, and you have these wonderful promotional campaigns about the apple flavor, the cherry flavor, and you're like in your mind, well, apple is healthy, so while I may not want to eat the real apple, let me eat the lollipop apple It's close enough. It's close
Mhm.
enough. So, sadly, I think these things are designed to fool people and to, bring you in and lead you to do wrong. And but as you mentioned earlier, Mariel, we consume these things now, and we may not see the effects now, but 5 and 10 and 15 years down the road, it's going to catch up on many of us, and
Mhm.
we're going to say, well, if I had known, or perhaps should have, leave it alone and try something healthier. So what this resolution seeks to do is to prevent all of that from happening, or to limit it, or to bring down the alarming rate at where it is now. I mean, the consumption of sugar and the high consumption of sugar, we may just see it as something that perhaps affects us, at a smaller scale, but it affects so many families, because so many families have lost loved ones
Mhm.
from non-communicable diseases. And, you perhaps may see it as a family history thing or a regular thing, but it's because of the high consumption of sugar. And again, I remember one time seeing this commercial on the internet where they had a Coke and a glass with about 4 cups of sugar in the glass. And the lady was asking, which one would you drink? And everybody was like, the Coke. So you're
Mhm.
drinking 4 cups of sugar. But really and truly, the Coke has in about 8 cups of sugar. So I think it's really, people being educated on what they're consuming, because some people genuinely don't know. And as Skyra mentioned, if you have a little tummy ache and you have some gas, you're going to drink some ginger ale, which is really, really and truly a soda,
Mhm.
instead of getting the real ginger. We are winding down. We have about 4 minutes left. We still have Dominique on the line. Dominique, would you like to add anything at this point in time before we wrap up this discussion?
I would, to the same point that we were discussing about the education of the public. I think especially in schools and about young children, we have to start it early, because what benefit would a sugar tax have if, like, our younger generation is already addicted to sugar by the time they are 11, 12, and so they'd be willing to just bear the extra cost. So I think by just removing the option in primary and secondary schools and training children to drink water, because water will always be cheaper than soda or subsidized
Mhm.
drinks, we would build healthier habits from a young age, making the tax work even better, making the whole sugar consumption policy even better than simply just taxing the sugary drinks.
Mm-hmm. Guys, we're going to have to wrap up right now. We just have about 2 minutes left before the end time. Can I get any last comments from any one of you on these 2 resolutions that we debated on Monday? Cara, Mariel, anyone can go.
Okay, no, I was just going to say that, both policies that both resolutions that we discussed, and any, resolution that we discussed at the Youth Parliament Association, it's mainly to bring awareness about, pertinent issues in the country, for the general public, to raise awareness, to help make the necessary change that needs to be seen in society. And I hope that the listeners will tune in to our next Youth Parliament sitting, and also they can review the past Parliament sittings on our YouTube
channel.
Mm-hmm. Mario?
I would just like to thank you for having us, and I share the same sentiments with Cara, that we hope to see the change that we would have lobbied for, and we hope to see within the energy policy the shift to renewable energy coming sooner rather than later. So we're hoping to diversify our matrices in the short term. And we know that mandates has been given for 100% by 2030. But even if we be realistic and say 2040, we do look forward to that day when we can say, just like Iceland, that all our electricity is from renewable sources. And for the NCD policy, the sugar sweetened beverage policy, we're really hoping to see that change in NCD so that no other family would have to cry because of something that could have been changed 10 years ago with a simple purchase of a water instead of a soda bottle.
All right, thank you so much. And Dominique, do you have anything to add at this point in time?
I'd just like to add that the importance of hearing youth opinions on these matters is something that I think should continue to be cherished, and that the aim of SCNIPA trying to start the debate around these topics. I know even in my school, when I'm preparing for mock parliament and I exchange ideas with my peers, I learned so much more and they learn so much more, and these debates are started, and I know that these will be ideas that they take with them into the future. And so I think it's very important to start these national conversations from the youth, because we would be the leaders of tomorrow.
Thank you so much, Dominique. And you are listening to Inside the News on WINNFM 98.9 with the St. Kitts National Youth Parliament Association. And today we use the opportunity to bring some more conversation on our recent Parliament sitting, where two resolutions were debated: the National Energy Policy and the Sugar Sweetened Beverage Policy. If you missed that mock sitting, you can visit our YouTube channel at SKNYPA and of course subscribe. And it is the first video right there, and you can take some time to sit down with your family and listen to the meaningful contributions that were made by young people from across St. Kitts and Nevis. And of course, you can also follow us on Facebook at SCNIPA Association. This has been Inside News. Until next time, stay safe and enjoy the rest of your weekend.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
This is so shiny. This is so new. I want a TDC automotive vehicle for 2022.
At TDC Automotive, old is out and new is in. Visit us and take our 2021-2022 models for a spin. Boasting